Right, I'm going to try and fit in another game of rapid chess. So this is 10 minutes each for this one. So good luck. So we have a provisional rating because we're only just starting off rapid. Our opponent has an established rating. I'm not sure how many games you have to play for that in rapid. Goes e6. Oh, what do we want to do? Let's just go d4. Okay, now let's go g3. I'm just trying to get a position where we get castle quickly, but we don't have a completely symmetrical position. I think I'll go e3 here and just take back if he were to take. But it is rapid this, so we need to use our time wisely and not play too silly fast at the wrong moment. Now what we're going to do with this bishop. Oh, he's gone bold there. Now that gives me a chance to maybe take. Can we even strike out here? Or even just a simple a4. Force a pawn push and just charge it that way. That's probably good. A4. That's a very bold move. I don't see what's wrong with just playing a4 there. My king's on the other side of the board. Let's just see how he wants to do it. If he comes down, we'll just challenge the pawn again. He's actually taken, so can we just simply play c4 now? With a view to taking back. Or take the pawn first, bishop takes, then c4. But c4 feels like the right move to me. Doesn't mean it is. c3 could be a move. Bishop up, I guess. Knight up takes. Again, it's very bold, but it stops bishop coming here. I quite like that, actually. I'm going to play knight forward. I might end up losing the pawn or having to play a move like f4, but it makes the game a little bit more interesting. It breaks all the structure up. I guess the knight will drop back. So do we just go really bold here and push on? If knight takes, we can take here. Pawn takes, bishop takes, rook across, bishop up, rook takes. It's quite dynamic, isn't it? c4 is another move. Yeah, let's just play c4, actually. It's the same sort of concept, isn't it? You can't take without hanging the rook right now. You can take here, we'll take, and we'll just get the bishop into play. Something like this. We might even be threatening to take, but I think he's fine because my bishop can't come out. So I think he's fine with that. Just trying to break symmetry and make it an interesting game. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. So he has indeed developed the bishop, but I think I can just simply take here. And just take here as well. If he takes now, I think we can maybe even push the pawn in and sack. Maybe. Let's see what he does. Here, I think we take, and if he plays queen take, we take. So this way I've got to decide, do I want to sack the pawn again to try and open his king's defenses up? Because we do have a check. Pawn up. It's a little bit uncomfortable, isn't it? If I play bishop takes, knight takes, now we simply take the bishop. And if bishop takes, we've got queen takes and we guard our pawn and we're still threatening to push on. I guess he can move his knight out the way. And I don't see a good reply to that. Maybe I've got queen check, but your queen simply blocks and you guard everything. And the knight would guard the rook. But pawn up, once you take, you've got a really solid structure. I guess we can play here, though. I'm going to do it. Let's just try and play an interesting game. So let's play e4 with a view to a check. It's probably the more principled move was just to simply get your pawn back there, but I couldn't see a follow-up after queen to d7. Doesn't mean there wasn't one, I just couldn't see it. Okay, so now I'm looking at e4 first so that I can release the bishop, but I guess he's got bishop up. So if I check here, what do I do? Just queen back to hit the pawn. Yeah, I think it's important to throw the check in and try and really mess up the pawn structure and just drop my queen back. Then we'll still hit this pawn twice. So let's drop back and just create these threats, and I'm going to try and push this pawn. I probably can't stop him casting, but he's got a messed up pawn structure. But e4 is the move I'm looking at to try and really smash the center open. So he has played queen up, so he's probably going this side. But if he does, I mean, this pawn is loose. We could maybe develop our knight then first. Or even bishop up. But I like pawn up here. It allows us to develop here as well. If knight moves, we can take the pawn here, but not if we play e4. So we can take the pawn. E4 might simply run into knight across. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So we've got knight up as a holding move first. Threatening to go forward. What's he going to do? Bishop up? Because we could play bishop up as well, but I'm just going to develop the knight. I'm using a lot of time here. I can't afford to burn the whole clock. Yeah, he has. He's not using hardly any thinking time. Okay, so now if I go forward, knight down, at least we've got it on me. So let's push the pawn and just queen back if he comes up. Oh, he's pushed forward. Okay. So any tricks here? Knight up, pawn takes. I don't think so. We can take the pawn. We can go forward. So castles, knight in. We hit the rook and we hit this pawn. Actually, that looks nice, doesn't it? Let's go forward. We create a threat. He's up 2 minutes on the clock. You've got to use your time. He's playing it silly fast. Yeah, he's got another really quick move. Knight in, if you come out now, we just take with check. Take and we can take back and we hit the rook and the bishop, but we've got a pawn back. The knight across. That's if I've got my knight here. He can move the rook anywhere and we can still try and take the pawn, but I guess, yeah, you can't go right across, can you? So knight across is the other contender. Check, queen takes, knight takes. We hit the rook and the bishop. So worst case, we can trade. We also hit this pawn as well. So it's got to be a good move, I think. What about bishop up, though? I think that just encourages knight up, doesn't it? So let's go for it. Let's play knight forward, hit the rook and the pawn. And he doesn't have rook across here to guard. But if he attacks the knight and we take with the knight, then he might have knight across to hit the queen. But we do have queen back. But then this pawn would fall, so that's riskier. So I think I've got to take with the queen. But then when the queen comes off, of course, I've got less to attack with, so the broken pawn structure isn't such an issue. Have I done a pre-move or something here? I'm not trying to. I've got to be careful about clicking on the board. And of course, at some point, I'm going to try and take this a4 pawn back as well. So what are we now? 2 pawns down. 2 pawns down. We can get one back, try and trade the knight for the bishop or the rook, and then take a4. But then this d pawn could be a bit of a monster, couldn't it? Could easily turn into a new queen, so it could become a problem. Or maybe knight takes e6. If knight f6, have I got bishop to g5 then? He's played rook across. So if I take with the knight now, it looks nice because you hit the rook and the bishop and you've still got the queen on the board. But knight f6, what if I play bishop g5? Knight takes g4, bishop takes e7, but then you've got rook f7, right? Or rook e8, sorry. Knight takes... Knight across I'm looking at. If I drop the queen back, then this pawn is loose, but I'm still hitting your rook and your bishop. So it's probably fine, and that's what I'd rather take with, but I've got the chance to get the queen off the board. Check. You could block with the rook or block with the queen. Otherwise, if you take, my knight takes. If you block with a rook, I can take, rook takes. And that might be not quite so good, actually. It might not be quite so good. Let's take with the knight then, because I do have queen back if your knight's here. And your rook's still under attack if you go after my pawn immediately. So I think I've still got queen h3 if you play a knight across. I'm not trying to do any free moves around here. But we hit the rook and the bishop. If we can trade it even for, say, the bishop, and we still get our dark squared bishop, we're still hitting the a4 pawn. That could be really good. It's just this d4 pawn that's a real potential problem, because it's only 3 moves off becoming a new queen. So that's very dangerous. And I'm down to 4 minutes now, so I've got to play quickly soon. I've found that move, so let's just drop back quickly. So we still hit the rook and the bishop. We hit this pawn. We threatened to push up and hit the knight, actually, and we hit the bishop as well. So he's moved across, but don't we just push now? No, I think we have to take, don't we? Depends what you take with. So I'm threatening to push. If you take here, I take with a check. And if you take here, I take the bishop. So I think that's a mistake or a blunder. We're threatening to take with a check as well as the bishop here. Or maybe he can just simply move his knight out the way, though. But at least we've got the pawn forward. We're threatening a check here as well. So we've got bishop or queen check. But I might have to play f4 if I want to keep the pawn. But at least it's a nice connect 4. Well, it looks nice anyway. I'm still a minute down on the clock. Here, knight forward. So queen check or bishop check, doesn't matter. I can get the bishop out, can't I, and then go here. I'm going to go with the queen, though. And maybe just go after these 2 pawns and sack this one. So I've got bishop up. I don't think I should do it. I think I should take here and hit this pawn. So if you take here, I'm taking this one. And then we're creating a mate threat. So he's come forward. That's a good move, I think. I do have rook up to hit the bishop, though. So let's do that. I can take here. I can play bishop up to hit the queen first as well. I like that, actually. Let's develop our bishop and hit the queen. Maybe you can come across now. I've blundered. I've given him a cross. Oh, he's grabbed the pawn. But now I can take and create what looks like a mate threat. I mean, I guess you can simply block, but we've got that pawn. Yeah, rook c7 is the move, isn't it? He sees it. Actually, I'm going to come all the way back and create a rook threat here. Maybe I might have to trade the bishops. I don't want to trade the bishop for the knight. That would be deadly. I'm still a minute down on the clock. Pieces feel a little bit not quite right now, don't they? They're not really breaking through. He's gone for the trade. I don't want to be on a dark square, I don't think, do I? I don't think I've got a choice, so at least there is covered for now. Maybe I should have traded that rook there, because he can now try and double up at some point when I wander off. Now take. Oh, he's moved across. So I'll trade there. I'm going to activate the rook now, I think. There is knight down, though. I've seen that, but it is a check threat. So he's gone with the knight. Let's activate the rook. I've got to play quick now because I'm still down on the clock. So it's 4 pawns each now, but the black pawns are obviously better now. You can push there and hit this pawn at any time, though I do have bishop f6, but could be a little bit awkward now, couldn't it? There is a rook check threat, mind. Here, queen across. That could be awkward for black. So he's guarded that. So what about this, all this, all this? Here, down. Let's just go here to fix this and threaten bishop up, maybe. It also takes this discovery away, but this d4 pawn is a potential monster. Maybe even queen e4 is nice here, actually. Oh, I missed that. I have. I've messed up, haven't I? So let's just hit the rook then. I mean, I've got rook across, but then I'm very passive. That's no good. That's no good. So take, take. Might be the best I've got. Oh, crud. It's gone wrong, hasn't it? I'm going to have to trade. I don't see how I guard this. Yeah, that was a little bit unusual. Taking a long time when he only really had one move there, but we're still 30 seconds down on the clock. We do have an asset in bishop here now. Create a mate threat if the queen wanders off. Check, I've only got one move, so I don't have to think about that. Knight across, I've got a check here. But yeah, bishop in creates a mate threat if his queen wanders off. So there we check and we hit the pawn. He does guard and hit the bishop though. So what do I do? Bishop f4. Oh, he's come forward. So what's the idea? Oh, he wants a check. He wanted to check and win my bishop. We spotted that very well. h4 maybe then. Maybe not. Let's come back. That's what I'd like. I guess knight back. But maybe now b4 to split the pawns. Forward. Let's hit the pawn then. If the knight moves, I've got to check if I need it, but I don't want it. Oh, he's offering a trade. Okay, now I'm going to check because I'll get the pawn if he takes. It's still going to be a level position, I think, or if he doesn't take, I can't, of course. But he has to guard his queen. So take, 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 and we're a pawn up. Oh, we're now a little bit up on the clock. So take, I just take. So does he guard his pawn? But we do have a check depending on what he does. We can check here and get behind, I think. Oh, he's thrown a check in. Let's go here then. Again, same thing. Take, take. I'm going to check here. I'm in the box to stop his pawn. I think I need this and this, that sort of cut. Maybe just up one. Stop his king getting in. But I have to get behind his pawn. He has to guard his pawn. He can't go after the outside one, so I should be winning. It should be a win now. I just run this pawn. He'll have to stop it, and I just collect. Oh, it's been a very tough game, but I've managed to play it at the right pace. So it should be a win now. Should be. As long as I don't lose all these pawns. But it is a win. Wow, it's a win. That's a win. Wow. I don't want a rematch right now. I need to go through and analyze the game. So let's just see how it was in engine speak. Right, we've got the game ready to import into lichess now. So let's import the game. We were white for this game. But if you're black, you can just click the menu button and flip the board here. But let's see how we actually played it. Oh, we were better here, so we blundered here. Opponent's blundered and we've blundered back, missing it. Then there's been a blunder here, and that's settled the game. There's one mistake here. It must have been the queen move. Oh, we played the opening well, and then we've gone wrong. So we've gone from plus 2.6 to minus 2.6. So let's have a look at that. So what did we do? The figures were 87% versus 82%, CPL 31 and 46. So we're better up to move 11. Then we've messed up to move 17. So we'll flick through there. I was just trying to get a little bit adventurous this game, just for some variety. So this is the point here. So he takes, I should not have played e6 like I did. I should have just simply played queen takes pawn and pinned the knight. Okay, so queen takes, bishop to e7, rook to d1, and you'll just castle, I guess. That's what we should have done. And with this, we end up being worse. So we're level here, and again, we should just be taking this pawn instead of trying to develop and get adventurous here. So we get worse in the next few moves. So e4, it's not flagged as a mistake or a blunder, but the eval's just getting a little bit worse there. And here again, I should have just taken the pawn instead of going forward. So maybe it was a slightly flawed concept. Or maybe, yeah, a pawn instead of castling has got knight e5 here. That's not a move I considered, was it? So knight e5 is the move. Queen back to d1, queen to d7, attacking our knight, and we're going into retreat. Okay, so a little bit more precise play from black, and we could have been in trouble here. But we're already back to about level now, and we play it through to move 31. And then it looks like there's a blunder, and we've missed it. So we're on move 25 now, so a few more to go. That was a mistake there. I should have gone back here to attack the pawn instead of all the way back. I was just trying to create this threat to trade the rooks on the back rank, but it wasn't really a threat. Here, I should have actually traded the queen instead of retreating as well. And here's the blunders here. So what have we missed here with rook to c8? b3 was what I played, and I should have played queen to h3 for some reason. So what the heck am I missing there? Oh, you can't go here. And we're threatening check to hit the knight. So if you go here, maybe there's just bishop back. Yeah, you either spot that or you don't you? That's what it must be. Queen here. You can't go here because we just take the rook. If you move anywhere else, we just queen check and we hit the knight. If you guard here, we've got bishop back to hit the rook. Okay, so that's why we blundered there. Queen h3. Yeah, queen to b7 is the move. Then queen e6 check anywhere. So let's look at this. So this is the right engine line. You have to see all of the line though, otherwise it often doesn't work, of course. But this is the right line. I'm never going to see a line like that, am I? And indeed I didn't, so it doesn't matter. But that's a blunder in the game, and we've got one more blunder coming up. Or have we already had our other blunder? We've already had it. We've already had it with the move e6, so that was our final blunder in the game. Now we can quickly whiz along here then. And this is where opponent makes the final blunder. And it was trading the queens, and it's a winning endgame for us. You had to play queen d5 behind the pawn, and it's still completely level. And I'm guessing we'll have to drop the queen back to stop the pawn and hope we can get back. But right now our king's cut, so that could be a problem, couldn't it? f3, king back, we need a lot of moves. But that was the right move, and this was just a winning endgame for us. Our king was in the box to stop the pawn. And in this position, you can't go after this pawn because we just take here and we run along this way. So we managed to get ourselves a very good win in the end. So very, very good.